Lyft knows that their drivers are what keep them moving, so they do everything they can to make sure their drivers are happy on every trip. It's a simple formula. Happy drivers mean happy passengers. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 Lyft rides get a perfect 5-star rating. You can earn hundreds of dollars a week plus tips. Want to earn more money? Drive more. It's never been easier to give yourself a raise. Lyft was the first rideshare platform with tipping built right into the app, because getting tips shouldn't depend on your passenger having a crumpled up bill in their pocket. You keep 100% of the tips, and they add up fast. Drivers have been paid over $200 million since the feature was first introduced. And Express Pay lets you get paid almost instantly instead of waiting for weeks. Lyft has even taken the guesswork out of pickups. The new AMP device uses color coding to help passengers find their drivers. So join the ride-sharing company that believes in treating people better. Go to lyft.com/ATH today, and you can get a $500 new driver bonus. That's lyft.com/ATH, lyft.com/ATH. Limited time only. Terms apply.
Major League Baseball's trade deadline going down to the line, and the winner is you.
Dodgers.
Also, Steve Bartman getting a World Series ring from the Cubs in his first public comments. Let's go around the horn. Woohoo! Settle down, Lasky. Settle down.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Rielli.
It was about 4:15 Eastern, 15 minutes after the horn, when we first heard Yu Darvish to the Dodgers. Admitted, Plaschke, you were about to rip them for not making a move.
Yes,
the
I
big
was.
fish to the best team in baseball. Also, always sunny in the Bronx, greater New York. Jaime Garcia, too. Francisco Liriano to the Astros. Addison Reed to the Red Sox. Justin Wilson, Alex Avila to the Cubs. No Verlander trade, no Britton trade, no Machado to the Red Sox, Jackie McMullen. Let's start off with you, Ben Plaschke, and tell us why the Dodgers are the biggest winner at all.
They're going for it. They're all in. They're finally agreed to trade some prospects to go for the top starting pitcher on the market there. Can you imagine this rotation come October with Kershaw and Darvish and Alex Wood and Hill, Rich Hill? It's an amazing rotation. They got two great left-handed relievers in Segrani and Tony Watson. And again, they're willing to trade some of their farm system for this thing. They realize, having not been in World Series here since 1988, it's the biggest trade deadline deal, I think, in Dodger history, and this puts them over the top. They are World Series championship favorites by far now, without question.
Sarah Spain, how do you see it?
Obviously, the Dodgers are big winners. But since Plaschke already covered it, I think we have to give credit to the Cubs for what they've done. And that includes that Jose Quintana trade. I'm not being a homer. This is real, okay? Jose Quintana deal a couple of weeks ago, we have to add that into this as well. So they add a great arm to their starting rotation. They add Wilson to their relief. And Wilson they'll have past 2018, which means if they lose their closer in Wade Davis, they can slide Wilson into that position. They also stole him from teams like the Dodgers and Nationals that they're competing with, who also had interest. So it's a doubly good move. And then Avila is a guy who can back up their Wilson Contreras catcher, who could be a very huge piece in the team going forward. And they lost Miguel Montero after he criticized a teammate. So I think all in all, the Cubs did the moves that they needed to remain above the Brewers and more importantly.
All right, but a mute for the panelists in Chicago for saying Chicago. Well, you know what? We'll just mute L.A. for saying L.A. just to be fair here. So now we got the Miami Marlins, the winners at the trade deadline with Israel Gutierrez.
Miami Marlins. No, listen, I know it's an embarrassment of riches there in L.A., and I'm with Bill in that respect. I do believe that obviously Yu Darvish was the way to go here, but there's a couple of things that might concern you, where you have, if Clayton Kershaw's back issues linger or become a bigger problem as the year goes along or into the playoffs, then how great in a position you are. Now, obviously, it's still a very deep, very strong team, but you kind of need Clayton Kershaw to be there if you want to be World Series favorites or heavy favorites. I do give the Cubs a lot of credit for what they did, in large part because they got a couple of left-handed pitchers to counter that L.A. Dodger lineup, and you're going to need some good left-handed pitcher there, and they got a couple with Wilson in the bullpen and with Quintana. So I give the Cubs credit, but right now, it's not even just the one move that Yu Darvish made. By the way, hasn't been great in July, but just doing something to make sure you stay atop where you are right now, I think is a great move by the Dodgers.
Jay Adonde.
Yeah, well, not only is it insurance in case Kershaw isn't at his best with the back problems lingering, but guess what? It could potentially make Kershaw even better, or maybe alleviate some of the postseason problems that he's had. Remember, a lot of his bad starts in the postseason come when he's asked to go on short rest. So maybe you have Darvish and you don't feel as pressed to rush Kershaw back into the rotation, back on the mound, and maybe you get a better version of Kershaw or something that approximates what we've seen in the regular season. But like Plaschke, it's good to see finally see the Dodgers go all in right now. This window won't last forever when they're such a great team. They're having an all-time great season. Let's see if they can end this long drought that they've had since, say with me, Plaschke, 1988.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Darvish is there in case Kershaw is not 100%. Just follow this now. Los Angeles Dodgers, Golden State Warriors. Same thing. Super team.
Whoa.
Now.
Oh, boy.
Easy.
Well, we did this story a few weeks ago. It's not that
Not a super
far-fetched.
team.
People were
Not that far-fetched.
Of course they're not with the Warriors. I mean, they had won a championship before we even crowned them a super team. But we've been warned.
Right.
We'll give Plaschke the day for now. We'll move on. Quote, your opinion matters to us. We're trying to figure out what's the right tact. Pray for us. That's Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti on whether they'll sign Colin Kaepernick. I saw a report Bisciotti consulted with Ray Lewis yesterday. J.A., start with you here. Last week, when this first came up, you considered Ravens fans, specifically how they embraced Ray Rice when he first returned to the team after his suspension for domestic violence against his now wife. To hear the owner of the team say fans' opinion matters, how's that strike you?
Well, like I said, you should consider the fans. I'm a little bit wary, though, of crowdsourcing personnel decisions to fans, especially when you have one of the best GMs in the business in Ozzie Newsome. That's his job. That's what you pay him for. He's delivered in that area in the past. I'm also a little bit wary of the narrative that assumes that there will be a unanimous outrage against the signing of Colin Kaepernick when there are some people who support what he did. If you take into consideration the city of Baltimore, where you had this uprising, police brutality is a subject that hits close to home, maybe they're in favor of him taking a knee, taking a stand metaphorically against police brutality. Consider the fact that Colin Kaepernick as recently as May had a top 20 selling jersey among NFL jerseys that were sold on NFL.com, and it lets you know there are a lot of people that would be in favor of signing it, maybe even more than this assumption that people would be outraged if you brought him in.
Israel Gutierrez?
Yeah, pray for us. There's a lot of things you could be praying for more than an organization trying to decide whether to bring in a quarterback who just made a social commentary, very timely social statement during the past football season. It's kind of ridiculous in a sense. Colin Kaepernick is not bringing with him really the kneeling baggage, if you will. He's already said he's not going to be kneeling anymore. So really it's just a matter of what you can handle as an organization. And there have been so many more gross things that players have done that they've been allowed back into organizations or have been re-signed, and we all know the names there. To check in on your fans for this, I think, is a little bit demeaning. It's a little bit insulting even to the fans as well.
Sarah Spain?
Yeah, when I heard this, I was disgusted. And I think even if the outcome is what J.A. described, which is that a large percentage of Baltimore residents actually say, yes, please sign him. You know, this is what our city stands for. Let's have these larger conversations about social issues. Even if that's the case, the idea that they would think that this is a time that they need to pull their fans and that they need to care about whether people want to see a player in the league is disgusting when we don't get asked whether we want to deal with Greg Hardy or Josh Brown or Riley Cooper or Ray Rice, when they in fact put up a video on their website of Ray Rice getting a standing ovation after we all saw the video of what he did to his then fiance. It's repulsive to me that someone who hasn't even committed a crime and did nothing more than silently speak out against something that's a serious issue in our society and is now donating millions of dollars and time to that issue is somebody that we need to ask the public if they're willing to watch play football. It's gross.
Bill Plaschke.
Yeah, I agree. It's completely preposterous. It's probably unheard of in the history of pro sports where teams are actually checking with their fans to see if it's okay to sign a player. I've never seen a more blatant example of blackballing here. And again, he's not a criminal. He's an activist. And I can't believe that a team at some point would say, you know what, if he can help us, we'll use him. He can help the Ravens. They should sign him and quit embarrassing themselves by checking with the fans. They don't check with on anything else. It's absurd.
Yeah, please dispose of the distraction narrative that they couldn't handle it. I think we don't give enough credit for NFL players for being able to play through distractions, particularly the Patriots, for example. You're telling me Deflategate wasn't a distraction that led to their starting quarterback suspended for 4 games. They seem to manage to get past that. I'm sure whatever team brings in Kaepernick will be able to deal with these distractions.
And please don't show me another screen grab of a game where Colin Kaepernick had 4 interceptions and say this is the reason he's not getting signed when the owner of the team is asking you to pray and asking their fans for whether or not they should bring this guy in that has nothing to do with football, clearly.
Yeah, and I think the most disappointing thing is that I was really thinking what a great place for him to land, where the coach has spoken openly about having great debates with him and what a great player he is, and where the owner has said previously that this is an organization where we speak our minds. To me, it's just so disappointing that it devolved into this.
We've been horrible. We'll move on because we want to discuss LeVar Ball, his actions.
We do.
And Sarah, I want to have a conversation you were having on Twitter and writing about. It's also where Jay Billis went in column form today, misogynistic buffoon unworthy of our time and attention. That's what Billis wrote, and that's what I want to talk about here, Sarah, because, yes, I think we can all agree there's fatigue with Ball, his antics, maybe even the story. But you say and write that while ignoring Ball would be great, it would allow for the side of the conversation that likes what he's doing to be the only side, and that's not right. You want to expound on that?
Yeah, I mean, this happens with a lot of issues. It's if you're sick of something or somebody annoys you, don't just stop talking about it. You talk about it more, and you try to get people to see your side of things. And in my opinion, the story of LeVar Ball was very interesting when he was a market disruptor, and we liked the way that he was counterculture and tried to make money off his own son instead of allowing it to be a big business thing. And that was fine, but I think we imbued him with a lot of business sense that he hasn't proven yet, and we're making excuses because of that for the behavior that he very clearly is displaying. And that began with Christine Leahy, stay in your lane, and it continued with the ref, stay in your lane, and inexplicably criticizing that she was not in shape despite being a Division I college referee. I think he's made some really disgusting comments about his own wife and the mother of his children. He clearly has an issue with women, and for us to continue making excuses because we think he's a great father for being there and caring about his kids, I think that's an incredibly low bar for fatherhood and actually insulting to black fathers that that's all we expect of them. We need to have realistic conversations about his flaws.
Israel Gutierrez.
Yeah, what I really liked about what Jay Billis wrote is you watched it sort of play out, the thinking when it came to LeVar Ball. I think a lot of us wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt early on, as Sarah said, as sort of a market disruptor doing something a little bit different. But then when he keeps sort of repeating the same disgusting things or words or phrases or just, behavior, and we kind of recognize, hey, maybe there isn't that much depth there. Maybe he is just kind of as annoying as he comes across, and you just keep seeing it over and over again. And now he's gotten to this point, and as Jay Billis said, he's not worthy of his time, not worthy of a lot of people's time. The problem I see with this, though, is if he sort of stays in that place, the only way he can continue to get attention is to go to the next level and raise the bar even more. So that's another thing I'm a little worried about.
Jay, can I ask you to address this as a professor of journalism here at Northwestern? The polarizing nature of both, of course, Ball, and even Kaepernick, a story, the polarizing nature of that story we just addressed. There's fatigue, of course, from some people, but specifically what Sarah said, addressing something that allows for people to talk about it so there's not just one side of a conversation.
Well, there's something to that. The problem is when you try to say that I'm not going to pay attention to someone anymore and you proceed to spend 1,000 words on that person, giving them more attention, which is what they crave. It's very difficult to win this fight for attention when you give it more attention, even if you're trying to counteract that. And I agree that there are important discussions we could be having about fatherhood and about self-empowerment. He's not allowing us to have them because of the way that he's been behaving. This misogynistic stuff's got to go.
He's not worthy of our time. He's not worthy of our attention. But now it seems like so many people have gotten behind him. He is worthy, like Sarah said, of people standing up and saying, "This enough's enough. This is not right. This is not acceptable."
So you would say silence and just ignore what he's doing.
Well, but at this point, I'm thinking now, like Sarah said, we got to speak up more because the public is buying this.
Putting oil on the fire.
Taking a break right here. Plausibly Live TV. Ain't nothing like it. We'll see you by yourself.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Subway. Here's our logo and some footlocks.
Buy or sell.
A story I'm not sure anybody was expecting today. The Chicago Cubs giving Steve Bartman a World Series ring. Bartman released a statement today, which I think we can say is the only time we've ever heard from him. Is that true, Sarah? I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Statement is about gratitude and about hope that we can all learn from his experience to view sports and entertainment and prevent harsh scapegoating. You can read it right here. He challenged the media and opportunistic profiteers to conduct business ethically by respecting personal privacy rights and not exploit any individual to advance their own self-interest or economic gain. Sarah, we'll start with you. How do you read Bartman's statement, and how do you read this story now? Is it all finally over?
Well, at first I wasn't sure if it was real. I mean, we haven't heard from him, and he's made a point of not speaking about it. Since day one, he has said any appearance that he makes, any statement that he makes is just going to bring further attention to someone who had no interest in making any monetary gain off this or being a part of the story. So I think it's incredible he finally spoke out. I think the timing's right because the Cubs win the World Series. There's no curse if anybody still thought there was one. And I think it was a nice move by the team to offer up an olive branch that he finally accepted. Jesse Rogers, our Cubs beat guy, said this is not the first time. They've offered plenty before. I think it was just the right time and the right thing, and he finally decided it was time to say something.
Mr. Gutierrez, how do you see it?
Well, I mean, it's the ultimate participation trophy, isn't it? But I do think the timing of it is pretty good, too. As
you got jokes on this, Gutierrez?
I mean, look, it's a nice gesture, of course, and you've tried to reach out to him before, and it takes something like this for him to say something, and I think that's fine, and that's great. I do think the message is really good one, too, as you read there, Tony, is, you know, he's sort of been a Kardashian-like, if you will, around Major League Baseball and around Chicago, and people trying to reach out to him and interfere with his life, and he's finally telling you, look, I'm okay with this makes me very happy, but lay off in the future.
All right, but you're calling it a participation trophy. You're throwing out the Kardashian, which is, Gutierrez sees it one way. How do you see it, Adonde?
The opposite. He's an anti-Kardashian. He's avoided the spotlight. For that, I applaud him right up to this move. Personally, I'd like to see him recognized and welcomed back into the arms of Wrigley Field, the friendly confines. I'd like to see something public where the fans can show him that they're forgiving him as well as the organization. But he wants it this way. Good for him. May his ring be nice and shiny. May he enjoy it.
Bill Plaschke.
I was in the press box that night when he interfered with the foul ball. I ran down, saw all the crowd chase him. I literally chased him out of Wrigley Field. It was horrendous. It was the worst thing I'd ever seen. It just continued. This is great for him. This is great finally to have some closure on this. I hope he never shows up. I don't think anybody deserves, the Cub fans don't deserve to see him. He can be, who he is, be what he wants to be.
Sarah, can you address that?
It's over with.
Yeah, everybody's been calling for him to appear, throw out the first pitch, go to the parade, do whatever. That's not for him. That's for you to feel better about whatever you did to him.
Good,
and if his decision is to never show his face, and the idea that we believe enough in human beings that everyone's going to cheer for him and be nice and we're not going to rehash the whole thing and have more hatred, come on now. Let him be. Let him be.
We'll move on. Buy or sell 2 NBA get-togethers this weekend. Harden and Paul for the first time together ever. 40 points, 26 threes in the Drew League. Steph and Kyrie together at Harrison Barnes' wedding. Steph danced like LeBron. Kyrie laughed. Deals or no deals, Israel?
I'm not going to make a deal out of anything that happens in the Drew League. Good for them for showing out in that league. But I think the other one's a deal. I think it's sort of looking like, LeBron James is the guy who's not in on the joke here. And it never really felt that way with him. He's sort of the uncool one here. And, that kind of feels weird. And I think the rest of the league is taking note.
Adonde?
I'm not prepared to make wedding videos pivotal points in the NBA history. There's no deal there. The fact that James Harden and Chris Paul are getting along and showing up and playing together, the Drew League, is significant to me because when Dwight Howard was signed, I went and tried to talk to James Harden at the Drew League. He said, no Dwight questions, and walked away, which seemed a little odd, but I think it predicted how the relationship played out with the Rockets.
Bill Plaschke.
The Drew League was just fun. That video with Kyrie was serious stuff. He was clearly laughing at LeBron and doing it right to his face. Once again, leaving no stone unturned on his way out of town, scorching the earth behind him.
Sarah Spain, is that how you see it?
Well, the only thing I'm buying about the Drew League is that it's Paul's first time ever playing in it, which is a reaching out to Harden to try to establish a relationship, and I think that's a positive for them. On the other hand, when it comes to Kyrie and Steph Curry, man, this is Kyrie saying to everybody, I'm not playing this game. This is not like, let's not trade me and we'll work things out. I am making it clear that I want out, and I'm going to take it to the next level.
So you agree with Plaschke that
it's
it's scorched earth at a wedding for Harrison?
So
I thought this was more about.
No.
I didn't take points away, Bill. I was just.
I can't believe.
Give me points.
I can't believe J.A. doesn't respect Kim Kardashian and Chris Humphrey's wedding as a pivotal moment in NBA history.
Okay. All right, we're moving on. Buy or sell 3, LA getting the Olympics in 2028. This is your account, Plaschke. Your mayor, Eric Garcetti. Last month, quote, I don't want the Olympics at any price. So, congratulations, question mark? Tremendous. LA finally gets the games back where it belongs. We could host them tomorrow. Everything's ready. No public money. The only problem is that's 11 years from now. I hope I'm still covering the Olympics 11 years from now. But yes, it's great that LA got the games. Sarah Spain?
Yeah, like he said, I'm glad it's somewhere that's going to be buoyed by it and could possibly actually make money off of it instead of somewhere that will be forced into financial ruin as a result of it. 11 years from now, when I'm president of the United States, who knows what I'll think about the Olympics? We'll just have to wait and see.
Gutierrez.
Yeah, the 1984 Olympics in L.A., one of my most memorable sports memories growing up. And so this is going to bring back some of those. I do wonder, though, 11 years from now, they're trying to budget this for about $5 billion. When you've got this much time in advance, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that at that cost.
I've done that.
Great move. Like Bill said, they won't rack up debt building facilities. They already have a velodrome in addition to everything else. They're set. Speaking of facilities, 2 rooms on the west side available for rent at the crib during the
All right, Adonai, we know you want to rent your apartment out. We get it. I think Plashke is going to have to leave to cover the Olympics right now, so we'll let you go, Plashke.
Get through traffic.
11 years to get through traffic, and Gutierrez is done as well. Spain, Adonai, that'll be our showdown next.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Sarah Spain, J.A. Adonai, welcome to Showdown. Adrian Beltre, 3,000. Loved his family running on the field to celebrate with him. He's the first Dominican and the third baseman ever to 3,000. How do you view him today, Sarah? Where is he on your all-time list of third basemen?
Well, beyond that 3,000 hits, second most appearances at third base, behind only Brooks Robinson. So an incredible tale of longevity, but also interesting to me that he's got such a big personality and has accomplished so much. We don't know him that well, which is kind of the problem with baseball and stars.
Yeah, he doesn't have a definitive trait, though. Like, you think of Brooks Robinson or Greg Nettles, great fielders. You think of Mike Schmidt, one of the great power hitters at any position, playing third base as well. So he doesn't have either of those distinctive characteristics, but he's a fun guy. It makes baseball a lot more fun.
Yeah, here's the trait. You never hit him in the head when you're celebrating. That's all you need to know about him. We'll move on. Own goals, and you got to give these guys credit. They really owned them. Whose was worse, Jay Ibar's or Inter's, which you're going to see right here, Inter Milan and Chelsea? Go ahead.
Well, Tony, the safe bet with you is Inter Milan, right? We'll go with the Italian. Always better in Italy. Everything's better in Italy. Can't wait to go there myself.
Yeah, you got to go.
Bellissimo.
The second one's better because the first one, the guy is so panicked, he puts all of his leg into it. Just kick it out of bounds if you're worried about that defender, dude.
Can't wait to go there, Jay. You haven't been yet. You know what? I'm going to give you some extra time. You go right now. And Sarah Spain, you take the FaceTime.
Well, a story coming out of Outsports that for the first time in 17 years, they were denied a credential to an event, and it was to Sunday's Cardinals Christian Day at the ballpark. Whether or not they want to spin this as having some sort of reason to deny them, it's a terrible look. I don't know if you have something to hide or you're worried about what Outsports is going to say about that event, particularly with Lance Berkman, an outspoken deterrer of LGBTQ rights. Then you look like you're trying to cover something up. Outsports eventually bought a ticket and figured out a way to get in and cover the event. It's fine if you want to have a Christian Day, but that is a terrible look.
Thank you, Sarah Spain. 21 career wins, the fourth fastest to 21 in Around the Horn history. We're on a 23.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.